Hello and welcome to Football Now, a new YouTube channel previewing the latest round of Premier League fixtures and talking you through the betting odds. I'm joined here by Connor. First of all, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you, Brad. I love talking about football and trying to make a few quid, so nothing I'd rather be doing.
Yeah, same. The optimum word being trying there in my case, but here we
Yes.
to talk today through the Premier League champions Manchester City as they travel to the London Stadium to take on and inform West Ham. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff, which is a bit of a surprise. I thought that might be on TV.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk us through the odds first of all?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a difficult one to call. I mean, Manchester City obviously are favourites there, 1 to 2 odds on favourites, always going to be. But West Ham have had a good start to the season. And I'm looking at that 6-1. I'm thinking, you never know when people might shoot me down for this. I don't think Man City have been the brilliant best that they have been. I mean, I did beat Fulham 5-1, but I don't know. I do feel like I mean, obviously they've lost Kevin De Bruyne, which is a huge loss for them. He's one of the best midfield, arguably the best midfielder in the world. Um, but yeah, I'm looking at the 6-1. I think West Ham have had a great start to the season. I think they've recruited really well, and that was a surprise because after the whole Declan Rice saga, I was thinking like, what are they doing? They were doing nothing. And then sort of towards the end of the transfer when they just brought in a number of good players, which I'm sure you're going to touch on. Um, it's hard to back against Manchester City because they are a team like no other in the world. And in my arc, I will be putting City in, even though I think there's decent value on a West Ham or a draw. I will be putting City in because you just can't ever back against them. I mean, they've got Erling Haaland, and him alone is an absolute game changer. Because even if Manchester City don't play well, they can still bag you a goal or two.
Yeah, you've mentioned West Ham now. Getting used to life without Declan Rice. There were questions. I think you said, are they going to act? Are they going to bring anyone in? But I think they should be praised for who they have brought in the end. Mohamed Kudus, a young player from Ajax. Edson Alvarez from Ajax also, only 25 in defensive midfield. And Premier League proven James Ward-Prowse, who I think he was ruled out the England games, wasn't he, through injury? But I think he's expected to return.
He's not looking doubtful, so it looks like he will come straight back into the side.
Yeah, if you just talk us through him first of all. He's really hit the ground running since heading to East London.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to make myself look a bit stupid here. I was one of these ones who probably didn't rate Ward-Prowse the same as everybody else. Obviously, the set pieces are his calling card. He's fantastic. Corners, free kicks, whatever it is. But yeah, he surprised me. I did not think he would hit the ground running like he has. He's been absolutely fantastic for West Ham this season. I think it's going to be huge loss for Southampton in the Championship. But you can't keep hold of a player like that when you go down. It's just the hazards of dropping to the second tier of English football. But yeah, I think it's a really astute signing for West Ham United. I think last season, obviously they had a fantastic season in Europe, winning the Europa Conference League, but their Premier League season wasn't great, especially on the back of the season before where they were very, very good. They lost Declan Rice. We knew it was happening. So, for West Ham to replace him with 2 or 3 good quality players, Premier League experience as well with James Ward-Prowse, I think is a really astute bit of business. And actually, I think if you did a survey of West Ham fans, and if you look at, would you keep Rice and not bring anyone in, or sell Rice and have the recruitment that they've had, I think they'd probably lean towards that because it has been fantastic. And I think this is a game where, again, against Man City, these aren't the games that will define you in a season. So it's almost a bit of a free roll, and that can relax you. So West Ham can get at Manchester City. Like I said, I expect City to win. But if Mikel Antonio is on it, then they could cause Manchester City some problems. Antonio's a hard one. He's always been inconsistent. I think he's one of the most inconsistent players. I think, sometimes, he can be in front of goal and he's a bit like Bambi on ice. And then sometimes it's a bit like Pele. So it depends what he can contribute if he's starting. But yeah, like you said, I'm surprised 3 o'clock game. You've got two teams there. If we look at the Premier League table, obviously Manchester City, surprising no one being at the top there. But West Ham are in fourth place. They've got 10 points. We see it there. They've won the last 3 games. They're in the Champions League spot. We're not saying that they'll stay there. But if you look at last season, it's such a poor start. It made a difference. It brought the club down. They were buoyed by the Europa Conference League campaign. This season's the complete opposite. And again, having a start like that is just going to relax them even further. So I don't think they'll show any fear whatsoever against Man City.
Yeah, I think that's what you need to do against Man City as well. You've got to be brave, and that can sometimes blow up in your face. You can end up shipping a load of goals. But I think if you want to beat them, that is the way you almost have to go at them. Like, if you invite them on, I think it's just a matter of time until they break you down. Played 4 games so far, West Ham, winning 3, drawing 1. Only 1 at home, but that did come against Chelsea, a 3-1 win against a very new-look Chelsea side. Let's say still adapting to the influx of players they brought in the summer. I think I'm looking at West Ham's squad now, and they've got some real quality that they've got going forward. You mentioned Antonio, who at times can struggle to get that consistency, but you've got Jared Bowen, who we saw what he did for them in the final, in the Europa Conference League final. They brought in Kudus now, and they've got Paqueta, who of course looked like he might join City at one point. They've managed to keep hold of him. I think it's just a real core. You look at the ball the cross he put in for Bowen, I think it was at Luton. They've got real quality in that squad. Let's look at this Man City. Last time out, we mentioned, I think it was Sheffield United, wasn't it, their last game before the international break?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've mentioned there that they've not looked at their absolute best yet, but I think that's the trait of this Pep Guardiola's Man City side, that they have. I don't want to say started slow, because look where they are in the table. But,
yeah, you can't say that, can you? I mean, they've won every single game, but like you said, it's even if they are slow in a game, you just know that Rodri or someone will come up with a goal. Underrated goal scorer, Rodri. He gets so many crucial goals. Obviously, Champions League final, but last time out against Sheffield, and he just absolutely thunderbolts it into the top corner. So yeah, I mean,
Fulham last time. Sorry, Fulham. Sheffield. That was it. Yeah.
Well, that bodes well for West Ham. Scoring 5 goals. Yeah. But yeah, I think. I mean, you mentioned it earlier on. You can't just sit back and invite City on, because they will break you down. If you're going to lose 1-0, you might as well lose 5-0. Trying to attack them, because obviously going forward they're just sensational. They've got a striker who can score from nothing. Every time that ball is in the box, Erling Haaland is going to be there. His position is just phenomenal. So if you can attack them, it's probably at the back. I'm not saying they're weak at the back, because they're not weak at the back, but if they do have a weakness, that's where you attack them. But I think West Ham fans are going to be buoyed by the fact that they've done well, because they've dropped points in their opening game against Bournemouth, and then we see that they've won the last 3 games. They've not had easy games. They had Chelsea, which I know Chelsea aren't the best, but Chelsea's still Chelsea. They've still got really, really good squad there that just need time to gel. But the result that stands out, Brighton at the Amex, they absolutely hammered them, which is, I mean, we mentioned it in a preview against Brighton and Manchester United. Brighton are looking really, really strong. And that was a really surprising result, but a really good result for West Ham, because they battered them. They were fantastic on the counter-attack. And if they can replicate that performance at the London Stadium, I mean, if you look at the record actually against City at the London Stadium, I think they've, against Manchester City, they've drawn 2 and lost 3 out of the last 5. That's a good return. Against Manchester City, that is a good return. So we see the odds there at the bottom, 19-5 for a draw.
Yeah.
It's I think if you're looking for a one-off bet, not part of a knacker, then I'd be looking at that. If you want to put one in a knacker just to boost the odds a little bit, I do think Manchester City are going to win, because City don't often drop points. But if you've got a cheeky £5-10 bet, maybe a free bet in your account, and you're thinking, how could I turn this into about 20-25 quid? I think a draw's got a bit of value there.
I think as well, when you've mentioned the start that West Ham have had 3 wins and a draw, their fans probably won't thank me for saying this. I'm sure that this certainly won't be the approach of the players and the staff, but you can almost afford to lose to the best side in the world. I think once they've already got points on the board. Don't get me wrong, I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the relegation zone this year. I think last year you mentioned they weren't great in the league, but just like we've already talked about it, I think 4 or 5 sides, I think they're going to be far worse off than West Ham. I don't think they have to worry about that. They're in Europe as well this year. That could prove tricky for them, I guess. It can be games.
It could, but I mean, they were in Europe last season, and I think they've got a squad with more depth now. I know they've lost Declan Rice, but they've replaced him with about 2 or 3 players. So, I mean, David Moyes is such an experienced manager, and he's been in Europe so many times. I don't think that's going to affect West Ham too much.
No, I agree. And we're looking at Man City. Like I said, we've mentioned they won every single game. I think they're the only team. Yeah, they're the only team in the league to have done that. It was no surprise.
Only shipped 2 goals as well.
That's what I mean. I think to beat this City side now, to have any chance of beating this City side, that meaning a one-off game, I mean, to the league, you need to be guaranteeing yourself 93, 94, 95 points, I think, to even give yourself a chance. We've seen them over the last couple of years. I think they got 100 points in one season, and they've got 90 a couple of times. I'm a Liverpool fan. We had 97 points the one season, I think 93 the other, and it still wasn't enough.
I think you only lost like 1 game that season. It was ridiculous. I mean, last season when Arsenal were flying high, I think in the first 19 games, first half of the Premier League season, I think we had over 50 points. I mean, if we had kept on that, we would have broken the Premier League points tally. But it's almost what you need to do to beat Man City. It's just,
ridiculous.
You just feel like you just can't drop any points in a race against Manchester City. They're so good. I'm hoping that Pep comes out and says he wants to leave, because I think as long as Pep is there, he's just a fabulous manager, isn't he? He's the best manager I think that we've ever seen, apart from Arsene Wenger.
Some City fans won't be happy with that. All right, I'm just looking at the business that City have done. They've lost a few big names this summer. They lost Mahrez to Saudi, Laporte to Saudi as well, Gundogan. Cancelo's gone on loan. I don't think there's been trouble with him in the background in the last couple of years. Cole Palmer going to Chelsea, but then you look who they brought in. They brought in Gvardiol from Leipzig, centre half, is rated as one of the best up and coming defenders in Europe. Nunes from Wolves, Jeremy Doku as well from Stade Rennais. He's only 21 years old. I've not seen much of him, but from people, from City fans, they tell me what they've seen so far over in France, they're encouraged by. And I think a very astute signing, which has gone under the radar of it, is Mateo Kovacic in terms of the job that he can come in and slot in the midfield.
I think it'd be more important now, especially with the Kevin De Bruyne injury. But when I look at City's transfer business, like I said, they've lost a lot of important players. I don't think it matters. I think if you're going to trust anyone in the transfer market, it's Manchester City. They do not get it wrong. They do, and if they bring in a player that doesn't quite work out to their standards, then they bring him in, they get a bit out of him on the pitch, and they sell him on for a profit, often near enough a profit. Their transfer business in the market is just ridiculous. And I think this whole thing that Manchester City just spend. Other teams are doing that now. Manchester City, obviously, they did at the start when they were first taken over, but past few seasons, I think we have to stop talking about Manchester City just being an unlimited bank and start talking about the fact that they are just really, really shrewd in the transfer market. You look at the other side of Manchester United, look at how much they spent and compare that to Manchester City recently. It's not about the money, it's about what you do in the market. And Manchester City arguably are just the best at it.
Absolutely. I'm just looking at the injuries now. De Bruyne obviously is out with a long term. I think John Stones is out with a thigh injury, as is Jack Grealish. I think they're both being assessed, and Kovacic the same. I'm not sure on the return there for Kovacic, but Stones and Grealish could feature. Looking for West Ham
with a bit of a back injury.
And Kofal, I think, just took a knock. I'm not sure where. It looks like he could possibly feature, Connor. So we've got the odds on screen. What is your prediction for this weekend?
I'm going to go with Manchester City. I think West Ham are going to make it difficult. I think certainly not going to roll over. So I'm going to go with 2-1. I think West Ham will nick one and will make Man City sweat a little bit. And I think if you are just looking at, the odd one-off bet, the value is for a draw. But I think if you're looking at a Naka building, or you're looking at, Premier League predictions or whatever, Manchester City, I think, are going to win 2-1. So that's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a City win as well. I'll go 3-1. Just can't see them losing, unfortunately, for West Ham fans. That's our roundup for the preview of West Ham's home game against Man City this weekend. Let us know your own prediction in the comments. Check out all of our other previews in the link in the description and above. I'm sure there'll be a link there too, and we'll see you on the next one.